I woke up to the realization that I was the designated simp in an old-school melodramatic novel, programmed by the plot to be hopelessly in love with the female lead, Victoria Vance, for 10 agonizing years. Just yesterday, Victoria's one that got away, Liam Hart, who had been sent abroad to get a fake degree on her dime, returned to the country with great fanfare. She got into a massive fight with me, just so she could rush to the airport to pick up that pretty boy. Following the script, I got wasted to numb the pain, and that's when my true memories awakened. The next morning, Victoria barked an order through the phone. Get your ass over here and kneel to apologize to Liam, or we are getting a divorce. I laughed. A divorce? You promise? I hung up, checked my bank balance, and immediately tossed the photo album documenting my pathetic, unrequited love into the trash. I had transmigrated into the body of a top-tier billionaire heir. Why would I willingly be her doormat? Half an hour later, I kicked open the door to the private VIP room. Facing her high and mighty attitude, I raised my hand and delivered a sharp slap across her face. Trash belongs with trash. Forever. We are getting divorced. Today. Smack. My head was buzzing. Before I even opened my eyes, my left cheek burned with pain. Idiot. Wake up. If you don't wake up, the plot is going to kill you. How did Earth produce such a useless waste of space? A glowing blue sphere floated in front of me, its voice childish, but its actions brutal. I clutched my face, bewildered. Who are you? The ball of light seemed pressed for time, speaking like a machine gun. I'm a patrol officer from the Universal Transmigration Bureau. You're in a book, inhabiting the body of a tragic supporting male character, a simp destined to be played to death by the leads. I've uploaded the script. This world is broken and ending badly, so fix it yourself. With that, the thing shoved a lifetime of memories and a script into my brain and vanished with a zoop before I could ask about a refund policy. I was left alone on a king-size bed in a sprawling mansion, completely bewildered. Transmigration? A simp? Where was the plot now? Then it hit me. I rubbed my temples as the memories sharpened. Good Lord. Net worth of $30 billion. Looks like a movie star. Yet I was the backup plan for the female lead, destined to lose my family and die broke. Was the original host brain dead? Just yesterday, Victoria Vance got into a fight with me to go pick up Liam Hart, her white moonlight first love who had been living the high life abroad on her money. Before I could finish processing the absurdity, the phone on the nightstand rang like a death knell. Caller ID. Wifey. I answered, and a voice cold enough to freeze hell resonated from the other end, dripping with arrogance. Caleb Sterling, get your ass to the Sapphire Lounge, room 24. If I don't see you in 10 minutes, this marriage is over. The old Caleb would have wet himself in fear and sprinted out in his slippers. But I laughed. Divorce. I pulled the phone away and cleaned my ear with a pinky. Is it my birthday? You click. I hung up. Satisfying. I'd wanted to do that for ages. I rolled out of bed, feeling great. But as I took a step, I tripped and nearly ate the floor. I looked down, a photo album thick enough to be a weapon. I picked it up and flipped through a few pages, goosebumps erupting over my skin. It was pure cringe. All creep shots of Victoria. The back of the photos had tiny, scrawled notes. Victoria, eat half a bowl of rice today. So cute. I wish I was that bowl. Victoria smiled at me. I'm so happy. My stomach churned. I was about to vomit my breakfast. A human being actually wrote this. Simps deserve to die, I muttered, winding up my arm and hurling the simp diary into the corner trash can. Clunk. Perfect. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the fleet of luxury cars in the driveway and a string of zeros in my bank account. $30 billion. With that kind of money, I could buy a pig, put on a pedestal, and it would at least oink a thank you tune. And I was spending it on that crazy woman Victoria and her gold-digging boy toy. I was rich, not mentally ill. Since money couldn't buy love, I'd use it to buy out of this so-called love and slap the entitlement off that couple's faces. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. The security monitor showed two burly men in black suits. Victoria's bodyguards. Usually, these two treated me like dirt, forcing my head down to apologize to her. I opened the door, arms crossed, eyeing them sideways. Surprisingly, the two giants bowed in unison, their tone incredibly polite. Mr. Sterling Ms. Vance requests your presence at the lounge. We're just employees, sir. Please don't make this hard for us. Huh. See? Once the plot breaks, real-world logic takes over. This is how normal people treat a billionaire. Phoenix. I grabbed my car keys, a cold sneer forming on my lips. I'll go see how this clown show plays out. If I didn't go, how could I properly humiliate them? If they wanted to play, I'd play. The Sapphire Lounge, room 24. I was definitely getting that divorce. I floored the gas, drifting my flashy red Ferrari to the entrance of the Sapphire Lounge, tossing the keys to the valet. I went upstairs, straight to room 24. Before I even entered, I heard Victoria screaming inside, her voice piercing the soundproofing. Useless. You can't even fetch Caleb Sterling? What do I pay you for? I straightened my collar and kicked the door open. Bang! The heavy door slammed against the wall, creating a thunderous noise. The room went silent. It was full of familiar faces, all second-generation rich kids, holding wine glasses and looking at the door like they were watching a zoo exhibit. Victoria stood in the center, and Liam Hart, the supposed white moonlight, was curled up on the sofa behind her, looking dramatically weak. I was about to say, yo, quite the party? But seeing me, Victoria's eyes turned red with rage. She stomped over in her high heels, clack, 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 and charged. Caleb Sterling, you dare show your face. Without a word, she raised her hand and slapped me. Smack! The slap landed solid on my face. It burned. Victoria pointed a finger at my nose, eyes bulging. You had Liam kidnapped? Who do you think you are? Kneel down right now and apologize to Liam, or else I'll make you. Make me what? Bankrupt the Sterling family? Or make me beg for forgiveness? I touched my hot cheek, ran my tongue over the inside of my mouth, and tasted copper. I looked at her, my gaze turning frosty. In the original script, this was where I'd drop to my knees, hug her legs, and cry for forgiveness. Too bad. The man standing here now was the awakened Caleb Sterling. I took a deep breath, not giving her a chance to finish. I went up my arm, engaging my core, driving the force through my shoulder. Backhand slap. Smack. The sound was 10 times louder than hers. The entire room seemed to hit the mute button. Everyone froze. Someone even spilled their drink down their chin. Victoria was spun halfway around by the force, stumbling back 2 steps before nearly crashing into the fruit platter. She clutched her instantly swelling face, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, her eyes filled with confusion. Her gaze was as clear and blank as a newborn's, as if asking, who am I? Where am I? How dare the doormat bite back? My 2 lackeys, Brad and Chad, looked like their jaws were about to hit the floor. Brad stood up, trembling. Cease. Ms. Vance. Look, we kidnapped Liam because we hated seeing him blow your money abroad. This had nothing to do with Caleb. Shut up. I cut him off coldly. Brad shut his mouth instantly and shrank back. I turned and walked slowly toward Victoria. Clutching her face, she showed fear for the first time, instinctively shrinking back. That's right, I said, staring into her eyes, enunciating every word. I ordered the kidnapping. I also slapped you. What are you going to do about it? I pulled a handkerchief from my pocket, methodically wiped the hand that had just slapped her, and tossed the cloth into the trash with disgust. Victoria Vance, we're getting a divorce. Today. If we don't, you can call me your grandson. The air in the room was thick as cement. Victoria finally snapped out of the shock. Her hair was messy, half her face was swollen like rising dough, and her eyes were bloodshot. You dare hit me? Caleb, you actually dare to hit me? She screamed, sounding like a banshee. Good. Great. You want a divorce? Fine. Let's do it. Let's see what you are without me. She frantically tore a pre-prepared divorce agreement from her bag and slammed it onto the table. Sign it. Sign it now. If you don't, you're not a man. I looked at the agreement and just wanted to laugh. This woman still thought divorce was a punishment for me. I walked over, picked up a pen, and flipped to the last page. I didn't even glance at the terms. My money was in prenuptial trusts. My father had proofed our assets so tightly water couldn't get through. She wanted to split my property? Keep dreaming. The pen danced across the paper. Caleb Sterling. Signed with a flourish. Done. I picked up the agreement and slowly rolled it into a tight tube. Everyone watched my movements, holding their breath. Victoria stared at me, waiting for me to hand it to her. I walked up to her and grinned. Thwack! I slapped the hard roll of paper against her other cheek. Crisp. Melodic. Here. I tossed the tube into her arms. Satisfied? Ms. Vance. Victoria was stunned. The whole room was stunned again. Just then, Liam, who had been playing dead on the sofa, couldn't take it anymore. He spoke up. Caleb, how can you be so crude? Victoria is a lady. How could you hurt her? He stood up, looking self-righteous. Look at yourself. What are you? A thug? A gangster? You don't deserve to be wealthy. You're an embarrassment to high society. I laughed. I genuinely laughed. A gigolo living off a woman wanted to lecture me on high society? I looked at my wrist, checking the Richard Mille watch I just bought. It was heavy. I slowly took the watch off and weighed it in my hand. Then, I whipped it forward. Crunch. The The watch smashed precisely into Liam's hypocritical face. "Art!" Liam screamed, clutching his nose as he dropped to a crouch. Blood instantly gushed through his fingers, dripping onto the expensive carpet. "I am a thug." I pointed at Liam on the floor. "I specialize in fixing pretentious lapdogs like you. Having money means I can do whatever I want. You got a problem with that? Choke on it." I scanned the room of dumbfounded rich kids. No one dared to meet my eyes. I turned and strode toward the door. At the threshold, I stopped and looked back at Liam, face covered in blood, and Victoria, face frozen in shock. "I'll leave you with a quote." I raised my middle finger, smiling brightly. "Trash belongs with trash. Forever." "Victoria, take a good look at the dog beside you. Maybe he just got bored playing abroad and came back to ask you, the idiot, for money." With that, I left without looking back. Behind me, I heard Liam whining, "Victoria, he's lying, I love you." Leaving the lounge, the air tasted sweet. This was how a transmigrator should live. What was my life before? I was basically a turtle's grandson. I drove my sports car back to the villa. Just as I was about to tell the staff to pack my things, Victoria's call came through again. "Come to my parents' house." Her tone was still aggressive, but lacked its usual bite. It was all bluster. I didn't want to go, but the original host's parents had died early, and the Vance elders had treated me well, especially Mrs. Vance, who treated me like a son. Fine, I'd go for closure. I turned the car around and headed to the Vance family estate. Walking into the living room, I almost laughed. It wasn't an interrogation. It was a scene from a bad soap opera. Mr. Vance was red in the face, holding a golf club and pointing it shakily at Liam, who was kneeling on the floor. Liam now had gauze taped over his nose, looking like a martyr, shouting, "Uncle, you can't be so old-fashioned. Victoria doesn't love Caleb. She loves me." And he actually squeezed out 2 tears. "Victoria is already carrying my child. That's a Vance heir." "Excuse me." Standing at the door, I nearly choked on my own spit. "Pregnant." I quickly scanned the plot in my head. At this timeline, Victoria hadn't even held hands with Liam more than a few times. Pregnant with what? Heir. This guy really had no shame trying to marry into wealth. He'd tell a lie that big? I glanced at Victoria. She spoke up. "Liam, shut up. How can you make up such a ridiculous lie?" Wow. I suppressed the urge to burst out laughing. Instead of getting angry, I leaned against the door frame like I was watching a circus act. I almost wanted to whistle. "Hey, old man, here's your daughter's ultrasound. And is my hot rod safe parked downstairs?" Upon hearing pregnant, Mr. Vance dropped the golf club with clang. The old couple looked at each other in despair. This was a prominent family. If this scandal got out, where would they hide their faces? Finally, for the sake of their daughter's reputation, Mr. Vance waved his hand through gritted teeth. "Divorce. Divorce immediately. What a disgrace to the family." Mrs. Vance walked over, teary-eyed, and hugged me. "Caleb, our family has failed you. Victoria doesn't know a good thing when she sees it." I patted the old lady's back, actually feeling a bit of pity. Having such a love-blind daughter was bad karma. "It's okay, Mom. You can't force love." I didn't bother explaining. If they wanted to wear the cuckold hat, let them. I wasn't wearing it. Early the next morning, at the family court/civil affairs bureau, Liam's nose was still swollen, but his ego was inflated. He held onto Victoria's arm, looking arrogant. "Caleb Sterling, stay away from Victoria. She's mine now." I rolled my eyes, ignoring the clown. The paperwork went fast, but when the clerk handed the documents back, Liam looked confused. "Isn't this the divorce decree? Why is it just a receipt?" Victoria sighed, putting the paper away. "It's the mandatory cooling-off period. We can only finalize the divorce in 30 days. Liam's eyes bugged out. "What cooling-off period? They don't have this crap abroad. Isn't this wasting time?" I saw his anxious look and almost laughed. Showing his colors already. Lived abroad, so long he forgot domestic laws? Liam, clearly panicked, turned and shouted at me. "Fine, the application is in. Caleb, move out of that villa immediately. I'm moving in. I have a responsibility to take care of Victoria and the baby." I looked at him like he was mentally challenged. "Move out." I pulled a copy of the deed from my pocket and waved it in his face. "Open your dog eyes and read. I bought that villa with cash before the marriage. It's in my name, Caleb Sterling alone. I haven't kicked her out yet out of respect for her parents. You want to live in a mansion?" I sneered, turning to my car. "Ask your sugar mama Victoria to buy you one. Want to squat in my house? Keep dreaming." Victoria's cards were frozen. Her dad, my ex-father-in-law, was ruthless. Liam the leech probably didn't expect the heiress to become poor overnight. He complained that Victoria's rented studio apartment wasn't even as big as my villa's bathroom and refused to let her stay there, though she hadn't planned to anyway. She stubbornly refused to leave my place. I didn't bother kicking her out. Watching the circus requires a ticket, but this live drama was free. I started packing, ready to leave anytime. In the meantime, I activated bot mode. Every morning at 8 a.m., I sent Victoria a text. Morning, CEO Vance. Day 12 of the cooling off period. Don't get too busy with your white moonlight that you forget to go to the courthouse. Day 13. Watch your boy toy. Make sure he doesn't steal my vases. Day 14. When are you leaving? I need to call the fumigators. Victoria usually replied with ellipses or ignored me. But I knew it annoyed her. That was enough. To celebrate the impending end of these annoying days, I went to a bar and cracked open a good bottle. 2 sips in, my face felt hot, and I got dizzy like someone had clubbed me. I remembered. This body was allergic to alcohol. To ensure future drinking capacity, I immediately took a cab to the hospital. Got the checkup. All clear, healthy as a horse. Just as I was leaving, a voice came from behind. Little Caleb, what are you doing here? The voice was crisp and soft, like iced watermelon juice in summer. I turned around. A beauty in a white coat, hair loosely tied back, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, looked at me in surprise. Dr. Elena Rose. Memories flooded back. She was my god-sister with no blood relation, the heiress of the Rose family, and the woman my parents originally wanted me to marry. But the original host, being brain-dead, chased the iceberg Victoria and drove Elena away. Seeing her familiar face, my nose stung. It felt so damn welcoming. 10,000 times better than the 2 toxic wastes at home. Before I could speak, Elena walked over, touching my forehead with a frown. Why is your face so red? Fever. Her hand was cool and comforting. Like a puppy finally finding its owner after being kicked, my eyes got hot. No fever. Just, Elena, I want to go home. I got played back. Elena paused, her hand freezing in midair. Then, she gently flicked my forehead, her eyes full of heartache and resignation. Who's Elena to you? Call me Dr. Rose, or Sis, whatever. I told you that woman was no good, but you wouldn't listen. If you want to come home, come home. Since when was my door closed to you? Listen to that. That is human speech. I sniffled and immediately pushed my luck. You said it. Once I'm divorced, I'm coming back to lay flat. I'm going to crash at your place, eat your food, and let you support me. Elena couldn't help it. She burst out laughing. She took off her glasses, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Deal, little Caleb. I'll support you, but you aren't allowed to run away this time. If you dare bail on me. She made a scissor gesture with her fingers. I'll break your legs. I looked at her bright smile, and the heavy stone that had been sitting on my chest for 3 months suddenly vanished. Don't worry. You couldn't chase me away. This childhood friend was quality material. Perfect wife material. I was locking this down. Back at the villa, I pulled out my phone and tapped on Elena's profile. A selfie of her grinning foolishly. Just looking at it improved my mood. Without thinking, I dialed her number. Hello, you free tonight? Buying you dinner. The other end paused for 2 seconds, voice teasing. Oh, the great Caleb Sterling has changed his ways? Don't you need to go home and cook for your goddess? Don't mention that bad luck charm. I scoffed. Are you coming or not? Offer expires soon. Coming. Free food, why not? Send the location. I didn't pick a 3-star Michelin place, nor a French restaurant. I drove straight to the food truck alley behind our old high school. This place smelled of smoke and life. I was worried Elena might not be used to it anymore, being a refined doctor and heiress. But the moment the car stopped, she was more excited than I was. Holy crap, that taco truck is still there. Elena shoved her designer bag in my chest and sprinted over in her heels. Zero pretension. 10 minutes later, we were sitting on plastic stools by the roadside, the table piled high with tacos, street corn, and 2 large bubble teas. Elena had a taco in one hand, tea in the other, cheeks stuffed like a hamster hoarding grain. There was chili powder on the corner of her mouth. So good, she mumbled, stuffing a skewer of grilled meat into my mouth. Eat. You need the protein. Me. Watching her eat with absolutely no regard for image, I couldn't help but laugh. As I laughed, my eyes grew misty. This was living. What's in it I committed to smash my head against that iceberg for so long? Fed and watered, I dragged her to a movie. Years of simping meant I'd forgotten where the cinema entrance even was. We picked a highly rated comedy. The theater was dark. On the big screen, a hilarious scene played, and the whole audience erupted. I turned to look at her. The screen's light reflected on her face, her long lashes fluttering, laughing back and forth without restraint. She laughed so hard she slapped my thigh. Smack, smack. It hurt, but my heart turned to mush. What? She noticed my stare, turning with bright eyes. Is there something on my face? I shook my head, passing the popcorn. No, just think this is nice. It really was nice. No walking on eggshells. No anxiety. This was what dating should be, right? It was nearly midnight when the movie ended. I drove her home, parked in front of the Rose family estate. The car was quiet, just the hum of the AC. So, just as I spoke, Elena unbuckled her seatbelt and leaned in. A faint scent of jasmine hit me. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively held my breath. She didn't kiss me. She just reached out and straightened my collar, her fingers grazing my neck. It tickled. Good behavior today. Felt like the old you. She blinked, her peach blossom eyes full of hooks. If you're ever in a bad mood, come find me. But she opened the door, looking back with a wicked grin. My fees are high. One dinner won't cover the debt. With that, ignoring my reaction, she hummed a tune and walked away, leaving me in the car, clutching my pounding heart, face hot enough to fry an egg. Who could handle that? The good mood lasted until I got back to the villa. The living room lights were on. Victoria was curled up on the sofa, face pale, clutching her stomach. The room smelled of alcohol. Business drinks, probably. In the past, I would have rushed over with water, cooked porridge, fetched medicine, wishing I could take the pain for her. Now, I didn't even glance at her, walking straight for the stairs. Caleb, she called out weakly, her voice trembling in a way I'd never heard before. My stomach hurts. Make me some porridge. The tone was still so entitled, as if the 3-month Cold War hadn't happened, as if I were still a dog to be summoned. I didn't stop, didn't look back, just fired a retort. Broken hands? Or broken brain? Where's your white moonlight? Where's Liam? Make him cook. You. Victoria shot up from the sofa in anger, stumbling over to grab my collar. Her eyes, red-rimmed from pain, stared at me. We aren't divorced yet. You are still my husband. You have to take care of me. It's your obligation. Liquid courage, huh? I shook her hand off. Hard. She fell back onto the sofa with a muffled groan. Obligation, my ass. I looked down at her coldly. Victoria, get a grip. The fact that I haven't thrown you onto the street is already me being a saint. If it hurts, you deserve it. I went into my room and slammed the door. Click. Lock. The world was quiet. Silence outside for a few seconds. Then came the sound of Victoria suppressing sobs. That was a weakness she would never have shown me before. Listening to the mess outside, I lay on the bed and actually laughed out loud. Victoria Vance, you have your bad days too. I just listened to the drama. Listened to her shift from expectation to annoyance, then to silence. I figured the high and mighty queen was lying on the sofa, clutching her cramping stomach. Pity. Wasted on a dog. That night, I slept like a log. Did Victoria hurt all night? Not my problem. Women are meant to be cherished, just not that one. I got blackout drunk again. With Elena. That girl's tolerance was bottomless. She drank me under the table every time. When I woke up, I was in a hotel bed. Elena was still asleep next to me. Her sleeping posture, one leg draped over my stomach, blanket kicked onto the floor, mumbling another round. I sighed in relief. Clothes were still on. Although we used to nap together as kids, we were adults now. I quietly got up, covered her with a quilt, left a note, and bolted. Back at the villa, it was afternoon. The moment I entered, I saw Victoria wasted, draped over a bodyguard. The bodyguard looked terrified, seeing me like a savior. Mr. Sterling, Ms. Vance is upset and drank too much. I leave her to you. He dumped her on the sofa and ran for his life. Me? Was I the designated trash collector? I turned to leave, but Victoria sprang up like a zombie, tackling me. Ugh, a mix of alcohol and vomit smell hit me. I dodged back in disgust, but she latched onto my waist. Caleb, I feel sick. Her face was flushed, eyes unfocused, hands roaming my back. Let go. I pushed her shoulders, trying to peel off this leech. No, Victoria shouted, showing surprising strength, tackling me onto the sofa. She straddled me, cupping my face, tears flowing instantly. I don't like Liam. You changed. Caleb, do you not love me anymore? You weren't like this before. You used to wipe my face. You used to sing me to sleep. I was nearly suffocated. Just as I was about to curse, she buried her face in my neck and sniffed hard like a dog. She snapped her head up. In that instant, her eyes became terrifyingly clear, even manic. No, she screamed. Jasmine, whose perfume is this? You found a woman behind my back. You have someone else. Before I could react, she kissed me like a maniac. It wasn't a kiss, it was a bite. Chaotic, possessive, destructive. Her tongue invaded my mouth with violence. MMPH. Get off. I struggled, but the crazy woman pinned me down, mumbling incoherently. You're mine. You can only love me. You can't have anyone else. I forbid it. I forbid it. In that moment, I felt zero attraction. Just nausea, disgust, like being wrapped by a slug. Finally, she exhausted herself and passed out. I threw her off me. Looking in the mirror at my swollen lip, I laughed. Victoria Vance had finally snapped. The next morning, Victoria was abnormally quiet. No screaming, no smashing things. She just sat on the sofa, staring blankly at the empty spot where the photo album used to be. Seeing me come downstairs, she opened her mouth as if to speak, but said nothing. Her eyes held a gloomy darkness I couldn't read. I didn't care. 20 days until total freedom. Hello. Still sleeping. I leaned against the sofa, pinching my voice into a sickly sweet tone for the phone. You want soup dumplings from the south side? Fine. I'll buy them and bring them over. Soy milk too, right? Got it, princess. Elena was actually cursing me out for waking her up, but that didn't stop my performance. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Victoria coming down the stairs. She paused, gripping the banister until her knuckles turned white. That tone. She used to be the only one who heard it, usually when she was sick and delirious. Now, someone else's exclusive benefit. I hung up, ignoring her completely, humming a tune as I went to the kitchen for water. Victoria stood at the stairs, her face visibly paling. Good. Just as I poured water, the doorbell rang. Liam the leech had actually come here. Vicky! Liam tried to nuzzle Victoria the moment he entered, but she pushed him away. He moved like a boneless worm. So, my expenses have been high lately, settling back in. Transfer me another 50 grand? Victoria frowned deeply. I just lent you money last week. Yeah, spent it. Friends from abroad visited. Had to host them, right? Liam sounded entitled, waiting for her bake. My cards are frozen. I have nothing. Victoria dodged him, her voice cold. What about your stash? You definitely have a secret account, Vicky. Don't be stingy. What's yours is mine. I stood by drinking water, nearly spitting it out. This was the white moonlight. That's a vampire, sucking the marrow dry. Victoria clearly felt the humiliation, especially with me watching. She forcibly drove Liam out with her fists. She was complicated now. She thought she loved him, but I was the one who had been there for years. Time erodes everything. Seeing Liam again, she realized he was just ordinary. Victoria stood there staring at the closed door. For the first time, she looked unfamiliar to me. That evening, I video called Elena again. I left my door open on purpose, volume maxed out. Ha ha ha, I don't remember. For real? You climbed a tree to steal bird eggs at 5. Shut up. You were the one crying for me to get you fruit, and then a bug fell down your shirt, and you nearly demolished the house. Elena laughed without restraint on the screen, and I joined in. This was how normal humans interacted. Victoria appeared at the doorway at some point. She watched my smiling face on the screen, her eyes hollow. I used to smile at her like that. Long ago. Once, to make her laugh, I danced in a mascot suit in the snow. She had only said, Caleb, grow up. Don't act like a clown. Now that I wasn't her clown, she was unhappy. Boom! A loud explosion came from downstairs, followed by Victoria's shrieking scream. Liam, are you an idiot? I strolled downstairs slowly. Good Lord. The kitchen looked like a war zone. Black, unidentified objects everywhere. Choking smoke filling the air. Liam was wearing the pink apron that only I used to wear, holding a spatula, looking innocent. I saw Caleb cooking for you all the time. I wanted to learn. Why is the fire so big? Learn my ass. Victoria finally exploded. She pointed at the mess, tears spinning in her eyes. You can't do anything. You can't even use a stove. That was a microwave. Why did you put a metal bowl in it? Do you want to kill me? I told you clearly. Our relationship isn't going further. Stop clinging to me, spending the credit you built up in my memory. Okay? I'm really fed up. After her scream, the living room fell into dead silence. Liam froze, the spatula clattering to the floor. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, breakdown? Victoria seemed to realize what she'd said. She looked at me. I crossed my arms, leaning against the wall with a smirk. Don't look at me. My hourly rate is high. Clean up your own mess. Victoria covered her face and ran to her room. Soon, muffled crying could be heard. I resumed my human clock mode. Walked to her door, knocked. CEO Vance, friendly reminder. Day 28 of the cooling off period. 2 days until the certificate. Excited? No cursing from inside. After a long time, Victoria's voice came, thick with tears. Stop. Please stop. I know. Her voice was as humble as a stray dog. I shrugged and went back to my room. Early the next morning, Victoria had dark circles like a panda. She held a private investigator's card, one she used for business rivals. She was going to investigate her flawless white moonlight. She wanted closure, a decision, a clean cut. The truth is like a rotten durian. Peel it open, and the smell will knock you out. Finally, 3 months sentence served. Looking at the handsome guy in the mirror, I almost fell in love with myself. This wasn't a divorce trip. It was an award ceremony. Morning, ex-wife. I sat at the table, mood so good, I almost fried her an egg. Victoria sat opposite, break fast untouched. She stared at my grinning face, her expression a complex palette of emotions. Are you that happy? Her voice was raspy, like she'd swallowed sandpaper. Absolutely. I bit into a sandwich, mumbling. It's a beautiful day, dreams coming true. Victoria took a deep breath, eyes reddening. Caleb, do you really have no lingering feelings? Lingering for what? I downed the milk and wiped my mouth. Lingering for the green hat you gave me? Or for that waste of space, Liam? Don't make me laugh. I can find plenty of beautiful women. A rich, handsome guy like me spending energy begging for a woman who doesn't love him? That only happens in fiction. I stood up, adjusting my tie. Eat up. We're going to City Hall. If we wait until you start showing, people will think I'm a sucker. I need to find my next partner. I have hygiene standards. I don't raise wild seeds. You. I'm not pregnant. I have standards. Victoria shook with rage, spilling her coffee. I ignored her, grabbing the keys and heading out. At the City Hall entrance. Nice day. Lots of people getting married. Couples radiating foolish happiness. I stood at the entrance, smelling the scent of freedom. However, Victoria's phone rang. It was the bodyguard. She answered, listened for 2 seconds, got excited, then pretended to be angry, dropping the phone. Clack. She turned, excited but feigning anger. A look that wanted to eat me. What? Did he die? I frowned. Victoria rushed over, grabbing my lapel lightly. Caleb, are you sick? You had Liam kidnapped again. You just don't want to divorce me. If you didn't want to, just say it. If we can't find him today, no divorce. People around us started staring and pointing. My head buzzed, rage shooting up. I slapped her hand away, hard enough to nearly spin her around. Are you done? I pointed to her nose. I'm dying to cut ties with you. Kidnap him? Is he worth it? That waste organs aren't worth my suit. If he's missing, it's not my problem. Victoria was stunned by my yell. Then explain. Why can't anyone find him? He didn't go home last night. I don't care. If he's not here, no divorce today. After speaking, I saw a sly smile on her face. I took a deep breath, forcing calm. That son of a bitch, Liam. Dropping the ball at the buzzer. If we didn't do this today, it would drag on. Screw my image. Where does he live? Give me the address. Victoria Fakrieth. I don't believe you. It must be you. Shut up. I snatched her phone, found the bodyguard's number. Where does that bastard live? Send the location. Address secured. I dragged Victoria to the parking lot. Get in. I will dig 3 feet into the earth to find that turtle egg. I want to see what kind of game he's playing. In the car, I floored it. The Ferrari shot out like an arrow. I cursed 18 generations of Liam's ancestors in my head. Liam, you trouble magnet. You better be dead. If I find out you're hiding, I will beat the crap out of you. Freedom is so close, and you pull this? And I have to be scolded by this crazy woman? Unjust. The car tore through the streets, running 3 red lights. Arriving at Liam's crappy apartment building, I didn't even kill the engine, dragging Victoria upstairs. Caleb, slow down. You're hurting me. Victoria stumbled behind me, still stubborn. I'm telling you, if Liam is missing a single hair, I won't forgive you. I ignored her, kicking open the flimsy security door. Cheap junk popped right open. The apartment was silent. The living room was a landfill of takeout boxes and beer cans, smelling like rotting garbage. Liam, where are you? Victoria stood in a clean spot, pretending to call out, not moving an inch. No one. She turned, pointing at me to start scene. See, no one. You hit him. If you don't produce him, no divorce. I rolled my eyes, too tired to argue with the moron. I didn't buy it. I searched around, finally walking to the bathroom door. Twisted the handle. Locked. If no one's home, why lock the bathroom? Suspicious. I stepped back and raised my leg. Bang! The cheap wooden door splintered. A wave of hot steam smelling of cheap body wash and other fluids hit my face. I looked and laughed. The bathtub was overflowing. Liam was shirtless, passed out in the water, snoring. That wasn't the main point. The point was his pale chest and neck were covered in lipstick marks of various sizes. His hand was clutching a pair of black lace panties. Women's clothes were scattered on the floor, styles Victoria the CEO would never touch. This was the aftermath of a war. Caleb, what are you doing? You kicked the door. Victoria rushed over to scold me. I stepped aside, made a pleased gesture, and grinned brilliantly. Come, ciao vanche. Open your eyes and look. Here is your kidnapped white moonlight. Found him. Inside. Take a look, then let's go get divorced. Victoria froze. She mechanically turned her head to look at the tub. In that second, time stopped. Liam snored, muttering, "Baby, one more time." Victoria's face went paper white instantly. Then she smiled, a genuine smile, as the last light of her first love burned out. I didn't have time to watch her break down. I checked my watch, 20 minutes until the bureau closed. I walked over, grabbed Victoria's wrist, and dragged the mannequin-like woman out. Done? Seen enough? Let's go. That green hat fits you perfectly. Stop embarrassing yourself here. No, I don't want a divorce. I like you, Caleb. Victoria didn't want to leave. I threw her over my shoulder, carried her into the elevator. Like my ass. Sign the papers. Go home, and like me slowly. I had never driven this fast in my life. Drifting all the way back to City Hall. The clerks were packing up, startled by the sound of IDs slapping onto the desk. Victoria was entirely out of it. I didn't care, as long as she could verify her identity. 10 minutes later, I held the divorce certificate, hot to the touch. It felt like a permit to be reborn. So good, so incredibly good. I pocketed the certificate, looking at Victoria standing at the entrance, dazed. She looked like a soulless zombie, hair messy, makeup ruined. I whistled, patting her shoulder. CEO Vance, congrats. You got what you wanted. Wishing you 100 years of happiness and early childbirth. Your white moonlight really knows how to play. More tricks than me. Holding panties while sleeping. A true romantic. With that, I walked to my sports car without looking back. Behind me, Victoria's heart-wrenching wail erupted. I didn't even check the rearview mirror. Goodbye to you. I'm done with this soapy plot. What does the air smell like after divorce? Mint and lemon with ice. Crisp and liberating. I went straight to my usual lounge bar. Boss. Most expensive bottle. Daddy's happy. I sat at the bar, bobbing my head to the music. No burdens, no quests, no walking on eggshells. This was the life of a god. 2 sips in, someone sat next to me. A familiar Yasmin scent. I turned. Elena was resting her chin on her hand, smiling at me. Yo, ex-husband, brother. She raised a brow, eyes teasing. Didn't you say you'd come home to me after the divorce? Drinking alone? Regret it. I waved my hand, slapping the divorce certificate on the bar. Regret my ass. I'm celebrating a new life. Besides, I pointed at the glass. I gotta save for a wife. Can't afford the expensive stuff. Have to suffer with this. Elena rolled her eyes dramatically. Suffer? You spendthrift. She snapped her fingers, waving grandly at the bartender. Clear his table. 2 bottles of Louis XIII. Put on my tab. She turned, leaning close, eyes sparkling. Celebrations need good booze. Sis is buying. Who pays if I get drunk? Ido. She smiled like a little fox. Then there was no then. I just remember us drinking. Elena was brutal. She drank like a fish. The last thing I remember was her whispering something in my ear, her hot breath tickling me. When I opened my eyes, the sun was blazing. Splitting headache. I groggily reached for my phone. Instead, I touched something warm, smooth, and slightly soft. Nice texture. I squeezed twice. Done touching, a lazy voice sounded right by my ear. I nearly rolled off the bed in fright. I sat up, the quilt slipping down. I looked down. Crap. Naked. Turned my head. Elena was lying on her side, also. Well, the snowy shoulder and messy hair explained everything. She propped her head up, looking at me with a half-smile. A hint of victory on her lips. My brain exploded. Blackout. Total blackout. What happened last night? Who am I? Where am I? I've read so many books, never seen this plot twist. I stammered, pulling the quilt up to cover my non-existent innocence. Elena. Sis, we are. Cut the crap. Elena interrupted, poking my chest with a finger. Seen it, touched it, slept with it. Caleb Sterling, we were drunk, but the deed is done. You have to take responsibility. Take me home to meet your parents. This marriage, you're doing it whether you want to or not. Why did this dialogue sound so familiar? Classic billionaire romance trope, except the roles were reversed. Looking at her face, flushed red to the ears despite her forced calm, my panic vanished, replaced by an unprecedented sweetness and stability. This sugar mama forced the food into my mouth. But I loved the taste. I smiled, grinning ear to ear. I reached out, pulling her into my arms. Real touch, warm body. This was real. Deal. I kissed her forehead hard. Responsibility accepted. No escape now. Elena hummed in my arms, hugging my waist. Who wants to escape? I planned this for a long time. I like a domesticated man. You fit the bill. Sunlight poured in. Perfect. New life officially started. dressed, and downstairs, we bumped into the inspection team in the lobby. Or rather, Victoria Vance, inspecting her family's hotel property. Victoria's eyes almost popped out seeing me and Elena. Caleb, how? You too. The air got awkwardly quiet. Victoria stared at our joined hands. Eyes like knives want to chop mine off. Speak. Victoria shouted, voice shaking. I dug in my ear, impatient. CEO Vance, overstepping much? I pulled Elena closer, feeling her warmth, grounding me. We have the certificate. Legally, we are strangers. I get new girlfriend. I have to report to my ex. Write a 2,000-word essay for approval. Victoria's face was white as a sheet. She took a desperate step forward, reaching for my sleeve. Caleb, I'm not pregnant. Nothing happened with him. Really, believe me. That look, full of hope, as if a nod from me would make her take me home. I looked at her, feeling nothing but amusement. Oh, I know, I replied flatly. Victoria froze. Oh, that's your reaction? What else? I looked at her like she was an idiot. Pregnant or not, whose it is, who you slept with. Is it my business? I've moved on. That's your mess. Don't splash it on me. I have hygiene standards, physical and mental. With that, I couldn't be bothered to look at her again. Let's go, wifey. Staying in this bad luck spot brings misfortune. I held Elena's hand, striding out. Caleb Sterling. Victoria's heart-rending scream came from behind. Elena looked back, then raised an eyebrow at me. TSK, ruthless ex-husband. Her heart shattered into a QR code. Scan it and it says deserved. I opened the car door, stuffing her into the passenger seat. Less talking, let's go home. I have big business. What business? Going to your house. To propose. The car sped to the Rose estate. Arriving, the elders were watering flowers. Seeing me holding Elena's hand, they froze, then smiled until their eyes vanished. I wasted no words. Dad, Mom, I want to marry Elena. Here are the transfer papers for all my real estate and shares, half my dowry. The other half, I'll pay over the rest of my life. Mister. Rose put down the watering can, slapping my shoulder hard. Good lad. We waited for this. If you hadn't been an idiot chasing that Vance girl. Dad. Elena cut him off. She pulled me up, sniffled, looked me in the eye, and smiled. Little Caleb, since we're getting married, I have a secret. What? I was confused. Elena smiled slyly, whispering in my ear. Actually, when you were bullied by those older kids, the girl who carried you home wasn't Victoria. What do you mean? I carried you until I was dead tired, left you by the road to get help. Victoria walked by, watched you for half an hour, and claimed she saved you. I was timid back then, and you defended her so much, I didn't say anything. She wasn't wrong, but she didn't know I helped you first. Elena poked my chest. So, you dummy, you repaid the wrong person. 10 years. Are you a pig? So that was it. I was a simp for 10 years for a fraud? I want to slap my past self. Looking at this sunny girl, my heart ached and warmed. I hugged her tight, wanted to merge her into my bones. Yes, I am a pig. From now on, this pig only roots for this cabbage. Elena laughed in my arms. While our sweetness overflowed, Victoria's world was hell. Time flew. Our wedding was set for the 8th of next month. Bridal shop. When the curtain opened, my breath stopped. Beautiful. Damn beautiful. Curves in all the right places, waist I could span with 2 hands. Well, stunned. Elena twirled, winking. I gulped, walked over, and hugged her waist. Looks good, but hard to take off. Pervert. Elena blushed, spitting at me. Only your dirty mind thinks that. And this set. The clerk brought out a fiery red, traditional dress. Gold phoenixes embroidered vividly. Elena's eyes lit up. For the toast. No. I grinned, holding her hand. Save this for the night. I like the traditional vibe. I'll wear the matching robe. We can play master and the maid. Caleb, shut up. Elena turned beet red, pinching my waist. Painful but sweet. We were in paradise. Victoria was in the abyss. She sat in a dark study, a thick PI report in front of her. She'd paid a fortune to expose Liam's secrets. The more she read, the more she shook. Liam Hart, male, 27. Expelled from U.S. University for failing grades. Chronic gambler, owes hundreds of thousands. Lived off wealthy widows. Arrested for solicitation. Every line was a slap in the face. This was her white moonlight. A pile of garbage fermented for 3 years. And for this trash, she lost me because of a faint memory. Art. Victoria swept everything off the desk. Glass shattered. She curled up in the chair, wailing like a beast. Wrong. I was wrong. Why did I throw it all away for a memory? Why go to the airport? I must have been insane. She looked up, eyes bloodshot, looking like a ghost. Her gaze fell on the photo album in the corner. The one I threw away, and she retrieved. She stroked the notes on the back. Victoria smiled. So pretty. Victoria's stomach hurts, my heart hurts. Every word was the love of that foolish boy. Regret drowned her, then turned into twisted obsession. No, Caleb loves me. 10 years, how could he change? It must be Elena. She stole him. Caleb, you are mine. Victoria smiled at the mirror, a smile uglier than crying. Her eyes grew muddy, paranoid. You can only be mine. No one can take you. She opened a drawer, taking out an invitation. I sent it out of politeness, really to show off. Victoria gripped the card until her nails broke. Wedding day. The most luxurious hotel in the city. Supercars everywhere. I stood on stage as the giant doors opened. Elena walked toward me, backlit, on her father's arm. I couldn't stop smiling. Then I saw dead eyes in the corner. Victoria, wearing black at a wedding, looking like a ghost. Her hand in her pocket, clutching something, but I wasn't panicked. Security was triple paid. I wanted her to watch. Watch the man she treated like dirt treat another woman like a queen. This was the ultimate revenge. The wedding march played. Mister. Rose handed Elena to me, eyes red. Boy, if you bully her, I'll break your legs. Dad, don't worry. If I bully her, I'll kneel on durians. The crowd laughed. I looked at Elena, exquisitely made up. Mister. Sterling, do you take Ms. Rose to be your wife? Duh, why else am I here? I grabbed the mic. Edo. This life, next life, every life. Elena laughed, calling me an idiot. We exchanged rings, kissed deeply. Thunderous applause. Through the kiss, I glanced at the corner. Victoria was still there. She had crushed the photo album. Watching us, seeing the unreserved, burning love I now gave Elena, she deflated. Like a popped balloon. She lost. Completely. No dignity left. She lowered her head, looked at the album, and walked away. Unknown to me, she mumbled as she walked. It's okay. There will be a chance. I was just possessed. Caleb, you can only be mine. If not today, someday. I withdrew my gaze and deepened a kiss. Night fell. After sending off the rowdy groomsmen, the room was quiet. Dragon and phoenix candles burned, casting a red glow. Elena had changed into the red dress, sitting by the bed, nervous hands twisting. Iwoktoa, lifting heavy, beautiful under the lamp. Cheeks flushed, eyes wet like a startled deer. Wifey. I poured 2 cups of wine. Time for the cross-arm drink. Elena took the cup, hand trembling. We intertwined arms, drinking. The spicy liquid warmed our bodies. So, Elena's eyes darted around. Remove makeup first. What makeup? I put down the cup, pushing her onto the soft red quilt with a grin. A wedding night is worth 1,000 gold. Don't waste time. Little Caleb, be gentle, call me husband. MMM. Red waves rolled. The night was destined to be long. The next day, the sun was high. Sunlight pierced the curtains, stinging my eyes. I stretched, feeling refreshed and full of energy. Looked over. Elena was still asleep. Her exposed shoulder was covered in red marks, like plum blossoms. I felt incredibly proud. I pinched her nose. Go away. Elena frowned, swatting my hand, voice hoarse. She opened her eyes, glaring resentfully. Beast. Thanks for the compliment. I grinned, kissing her cheek. That's interest for tricking me at the hotel. I need the bathroom. Elena struggled to get up. Feet hit the floor. Ouch. Her legs gave out, barely grabbing the wall for support. She looked back, glaring daggers, face red as a tomato. Caleb Sterling, you are sleeping in the study tonight. I lay in bed, watching her shuffle along the wall, laughing maniacally. Dream on. Tonight continues. The blade is sharp. It must draw blood. Story complete.